The United States Constitution, forged in the fires of revolution, outlined a new form of government. At its heart was the presidency, an office unlike any other in the world. The founders, wary of unchecked power, crafted a system of checks and balances. The president would be powerful, yet constrained by Congress and the judiciary. This delicate balance has defined American governance for centuries. From the outset, the presidency was envisioned as a symbol of national unity and purpose. The president would be the head of state, representing the nation on the world stage. He would also be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, responsible for protecting the nation's security. Yet the Constitution provided only a skeletal framework for the presidency. Its true nature and powers would be shaped by the individuals who occupied the office. The first president faced the daunting task of breathing life into this new institution. He would set the precedent for all who followed. His actions would define the scope and limits of presidential power. The fate of the young republic rested on his shoulders. In 1789, George Washington, the hero of the American Revolution, became the first president of the United States. Washington was acutely aware of the weight of his responsibility. He knew that his actions would establish precedents for future presidents. He approached his task with a sense of gravity and purpose. Washington established the principle of neutrality in foreign affairs, warning against entangling alliances. He also established the cabinet system, surrounding himself with trusted advisors. These decisions shaped the course of American history. Washington's 2 terms set the standard for presidential leadership. He demonstrated integrity, wisdom, and a deep commitment to the Constitution. He voluntarily stepped down after 2 terms, establishing the tradition of peaceful transfer of power. Washington's legacy continues to inspire and guide American presidents today. The early years of the 19th century witnessed a period of significant change and expansion for the United States. Thomas Jefferson, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, became the 3rd president in 1801. Jefferson, a staunch advocate for individual liberty and limited government, sought to reduce the size and scope of the federal government. Jefferson's presidency marked a shift in political power from the Federalists to the Democratic Republicans. His Louisiana Purchase in 1803 doubled the size of the United States and opened vast new territories for exploration and settlement. Andrew Jackson, a hero of the War of 1812, became the 7th president in 1829. Jackson's presidency ushered in an era of Jacksonian democracy characterized by a broader expansion of suffrage, increased political participation, and a focus on the common man. Jackson's presidency also witnessed growing sectional tensions over slavery, an issue that would eventually tear the nation apart. The issue of slavery reached a boiling point in the mid-19th century. Abraham Lincoln, elected president in 1860, faced the greatest crisis in American history, the secession of southern states and the outbreak of the Civil War. Lincoln's unwavering commitment to preserving the Union was tested like no other president before him. Lincoln skillfully navigated the treacherous waters of war, issuing the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, which declared the freedom of slaves in Confederate territories. This bold move transformed the war into a fight for human freedom. Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War cemented his place as one of the most revered figures in American history. His Gettysburg Address, delivered in 1863, eloquently articulated the principles of national unity and human equality. Lincoln's assassination in 1865 left a void in American leadership and plunged the nation into mourning. Section 5. The Progressive Era and the Rise of Presidential Power. The late 19th and early 20th centuries witnessed a period of rapid industrialization, urbanization, and social change in the United States. The Progressive Era emerged, marked by a belief in the power of government to address social and economic ills. Presidents like Theodore Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson embraced the progressive agenda, expanding the role of the federal government in regulating business, protecting consumers, and promoting social welfare. Theodore Roosevelt, who became president in 1901, championed conservation, trust-busting, and a square deal for all Americans. He used the presidency as a bully pulpit to advocate for his policies and mobilize public opinion. Woodrow Wilson, elected in 1912, led the nation through World War I and advocated for the Treaty of Versailles and the League of Nations. Wilson's vision of a new world order based on collective security ultimately failed to gain widespread support in the United States. Section 6. The Great Depression and the New Deal, FDR's enduring impact. The stock market crash of 1929 plunged the United States into the Great Depression, the worst economic crisis in its history. Franklin D. Roosevelt, elected president in 1932, responded with the New Deal, a sweeping set of government programs designed to provide relief, recovery, and reform. Roosevelt's New Deal fundamentally reshaped the relationship between the federal government and the American people. It established a social safety net, created new regulatory agencies, and expanded the role of the federal government in the economy. Roosevelt's leadership during the Great Depression and World War II transformed the presidency into a more powerful and active institution. His 4 terms in office remain unmatched in American history. Section 7. The Cold War and the Modern Presidency from Truman to Kennedy. The end of World War II ushered in a new era of global rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, known as the Cold War. The Cold War profoundly shaped American foreign policy and the presidency. Presidents like Harry Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, and John F. Kennedy faced the constant threat of nuclear war and the challenge of containing Soviet expansionism. Truman's decision to drop atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945 remains one of the most consequential decisions in history. Eisenhower's presidency saw the Korean War and the escalation of the nuclear arms race. Kennedy's presidency was marked by the Bay of Pigs invasion, the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the escalation of American involvement in Vietnam. Kennedy's assassination in 1963 shocked the nation and the world. Section 8. The Reagan Revolution and the Rise of Conservatism. The 1980s witnessed a resurgence of conservatism in American politics, culminating in the election of Ronald Reagan as president in 1980. Reagan's presidency marked a significant shift in American politics, both domestically and internationally. Reagan's economic policies, known as Reaganomics, emphasized tax cuts, deregulation, and a reduction in the size and scope of the federal government. Reagan also adopted a more confrontational stance towards the Soviet Union, calling it an evil empire and increasing military spending. Reagan's presidency had a profound impact on American politics, ushering in an era of conservative dominance that would last for decades. His legacy continues to be debated today. Section 9. The Post-Cold War Era and the Challenges of Globalization. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 marked the end of the Cold War. The post-Cold War era presented new challenges and opportunities for the United States and the presidency. Globalization, terrorism, and climate change emerged as pressing global issues. Presidents like Bill Clinton and George W. Bush faced the challenges of navigating a rapidly changing world. Clinton presided over a period of economic prosperity and engaged in military interventions in the Balkans. Bush's presidency was forever marked by the 9/11 terrorist attacks and the subsequent wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. Section 10. The Presidency in the 21st Century, a Legacy of Leadership. The 21st century has brought new challenges to the forefront of American politics, including the rise of China, the threat of terrorism, and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Presidents Barack Obama and Donald Trump each faced unique challenges and left their own mark on the presidency. Obama, the first African-American president, signed into law the Affordable Care Act, oversaw the end of the Iraq War, and authorized the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. Trump's presidency was marked by controversy, including his impeachment by the House of Representatives, his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, and his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. The presidency of Joe Biden, who took office in 2021, has been marked by the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the withdrawal of US troops from Afghanistan and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The presidency remains a vital institution in American democracy, shaping the nation's course in a rapidly changing world.